Okay, let's talk about our structure rules. So we were looking at this area on Friday. Now, our rules for structure when making our dynamic market ranges is going to be 2 bars of the prior swing taken out. So let's go back here and look and define when these areas would be structure. But right now, in order for structure to form, I need this low right there taken out of this blue bar. So this high is not structure yet, not structure yet. Now this high here is our structure. Once we take out 2 prior bars from the previous swing, so the previous swing was up here, and we took out 2 of the prior bars, which is this low. So let's look at this low here. When do we realize this low is structure? Well, we're going to look at this last down swing in the market. The last 2 candles, here's 1 candle, here's 2 candles. So on the high of this candle breaks, we understand that this low is now the structure in the market. Then you might look at this high. We do pull back off of it. This high is not structure because we haven't taken out 2 previous candles in the last swing. Same thing with this structure here. When does this structure form? Well, we start pushing down on this candle, and we would have to look at the 2 prior candles in our upswing. So this is the first low, and this is the second low. So once this went through this green line here, this swing high is formed. This is just a concrete rule that we can repeat, and we always look at structure the same way. We're always marking structure the same way, and it's always the same. That's the key to consistency. When we're coming down here, we made a downswing in the market. We start pushing up. Now we're looking at the last 2 bars on our downswing. This would be the second bar. So once this green, up candle broke this green line, our structure forms here. Now we're looking at this high up here. We start moving down. So we need to look at our previous up candles. There's our first low. Here's our second low. So that structure forms on taking out this low here. Now, this is our understanding of structure, but it's not to be confused when we're drawing supply and demand. So for instance, this right here, I wouldn't consider structure, but we pause in the market, we pause in this area, and we break lower. So this is definitely supply. Okay, so when I'm looking at highs or lows of pauses, I'm not necessarily looking at structure. I'm just looking at where the market paused, where did it pause from, and which way do we break. That's who's in control. Another example of that is when we come down here on this candle and pause, I'm looking at this low, not as structure, but as the low that I need to break in order to see more supply form. So once that breaks, then we would see this as supply. Just want to point this out. Back in January 20th, we talked about real panic in the market and what that picture would look like. So I'm just going to draw that out real quick. Now that back on January 20th, we met our criteria for a rollover. We took out demand. We created a range in our market, our dynamic market ranges. So that was the point where the market started showing weakness. We were definitely still bullish, but we were always aware of the secondary scenario. So if we take this last upswing in our daily market, we're looking at below 60.72. So if we look at below this area, what stands out? We have a gap around 59.50s. But this area right in here, right around 6,000, is really interesting to watch. That's where I'm going to be watching for my swing trades. If I bring up the bigger open interest picture, our 3 biggest open interest bars are at 6,500, 6,200, and 6,000. 6,000 being our largest open interest. And that lines up perfectly with how we view price action. So maybe over the next few weeks, a little bit more panic in the market is what I would like to see for a good setup for a swing trade. We could see how the market's slowly getting more and more steep on our downtrend. So that looks like we can look for a capitulation move down here, would set up for an amazing swing trade. Of course, nobody knows what's going to happen in the market. This is just the system that we repeat on all time frames. I just repeat the same story over and over, looking for the good prices to execute. So I hope this cleared up some things, and I hope it helped, and talk to you later.